What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Locked On Pirates podcast. I am, of course, your host Ethan Smith. Hope you guys are all having a phenomenal day wherever you may be listening here on YouTube, Spotify, Odyssey, or wherever you get your podcast. Again, my name is Smith. We will be joined today by Gary Morgan on Monday, September 12th. Hopefully, you guys all enjoyed NFL Sunday and enjoyed the weekend. And on today's point, to be talking about the adjustments at the plate that Oneil Cruz has been making and why it's been leading to his recent success and his recent hitting streak. We're also going to go about the new MLB rules that'll be instituted in 2023 and some of the reactions to them that are not as positive as I think MLB wanted them to be, and more on today's podcast. With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, as you always do every single day. And let's get this episode on the road.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to the Locked On Pirates podcast, everybody. My name is Ethan Smith, as mentioned before. To my right, as always, is Gary Morgan wearing the Pitt hat. Interesting game from Pitt this past weekend in its entirety. It was something to watch. I think if Keaton Slovis would have stayed healthy in that game, they probably win that game. You never know. That could have been said about a lot of games across the country in college football this weekend. But we are here to talk about baseball, where the Pitt and the St. Louis Cardinals seem like they get together and there's always something to talk about. Albert Pujols hits home run 696 this weekend. Oneil Cruz is at the plate. But first of all, Gary, how are you today? How are things going? And what did you see from the Pirates this weekend that you liked?
I'm good, man. I've enjoyed this series so far. I mean, as we're recording this, we haven't seen the final act yet. We don't know what's going to happen on the Sunday game. But the first two, it's nice seeing the bats come to play. It really is. And it's nice seeing people that matter, meaning people that I'm fairly certain are going to be back next year doing things that matter. That's really what this is all about. And as far as the way that they end the season, I'd be happy if it was filled with more action like this, more pushing the envelope, more offense doing something, more pitching trying to keep them in games. That's the fun, man, is watching the kids turn into players.
Yeah, and we've seen that as of late from Oneil Cruz, has been the center of talk for pretty much since he ever came up, and even before he came up this year, where his batting average is low, but he's hard and all this other stuff. But now the batting average and the slugging and the on-base percentage and the OPS are all skyrocketing in the midst of his hitting streak now. And it's been due to the adjustments at the plate, I think, that he's making, that he's realizing I could still hit the ball 110 miles per hour, but it doesn't necessarily have sense for me to get on base. That's one thing I think I've been seeing from him a lot is, and I'm going to get your opinion on this as well, is I feel like he's just the ball up more. Like he's just taking the right pitches, not just looking at looking at pitches he should be crushing, but also taking his opportunities where he finds. And I think with his talent level, I think we all expected this. He just needed a little bit of time. And I'm not saying that this is the Oneil Cruz that we're going to get used to who he's going to be. He's only going to get better. He's only going to continue to adjust to Major League pitching. But what adjustments have you seen that have impressed with Oneil Cruz and why he's been so successful as of late over really the past week or so?
I mean, first of all, I think we're focusing on results whenever we talk about he's taking what's given to him or whatever. I don't think that he's changed a thing as far as what he's going after, what he's trying to swing at. He's never been a guy that swings just looking for home runs. Throughout his entire career, he's never done that. He's always just looked to hit the ball hard. He's never cared about which part of the field it went to. It's always been about hitting the ball hard. He's always hit lefties. So this isn't like a guy that, I thought would come up here and just fall into being home run happy and suck at everything else. It takes a while to adjust to Major League pitching. And I think that's really what nobody took into account. Nobody took into account that nobody in AAA with any consistency is throwing sliders that baffle and bewilder somebody that can hit a ball that that well. And it should actually make us lower our expectations a little bit for some of these other guys who we consider to be lesser talents, like Cal Mitchell or Jack Sawinski, for them to be able to come up here and work through their own progression for understanding the league and facing different kinds of pitching and the advanced talent that's in MLB. That's really what this is about. That's all it is the game is starting to slow down for Oneil a little bit. If you want to talk about adjustments he's made more in the field than at the plate.
Oh yeah,
you can see he's taken some MPH off of his fastball over to first a couple times now because he realizes he doesn't have to do it all the time. That's good.
Yeah, and if he can become just an average shortstop defensively, and when I say average, I mean like average fielding percentage, making the occasional crazy play, stuff like that, and hit the baseball the way he is now, and only getting better at it, you got a real player on your hands. And I don't think that was ever in doubt with Oneil. Everybody kind of knew this kid is special. It's just how far does he take himself?
He's got special physical gifts, and that's one thing. There aren't a whole lot of people that have those special physical gifts. There's even fewer people that take those special physical gifts and turn them into baseball player. Well, he's chosen to. I mean, look at his frame. He could have played basketball. He could have played football. There's a whole lot of things he could have done. He chose baseball, and yeah, the sky's the limit, honestly. We all want to fantasize about what he could become, but the sky is legitimately the limit.
Yeah, and one thing that I've been waiting for, and I would like it to happen, but I think it's something they need to at least explore, is getting him signed to an extension, kind of like the Ke'Bryan Hayes. I think that's something they'll definitely explore in the 2023 offseason and should explore, because obviously he has tons now. You don't even have to worry about that. But getting him locked up, I think, would also be a message to say, okay, we understand that this is one of our staples of our franchise. Let's keep him here for a very long time. Which he'll be here, I forget how long of control he has. I think
2028 he becomes a free agent.
Yeah, so that's 6 years from now. And
yep.
By then, we'll be having completely different conversations about Oneil Cruz, I'm sure. We'll be having completely different conversations about a lot of different... Then there's a really real chance that your infield it features Termar Johnson, Oneil Cruz, and Ke'Bryan Hayes. So that's going to be really fun, but also who knows what's going to happen. But I would like to see them sign him to some kind of extension. I don't know what that extension would look like because I'm still not great on the contractual stuff of ML. What kind of extension you sign?
It certainly isn't going to look like Ke'Bryan Hayes. I'll tell you that. Ke'Bryan Hayes took a deal that I'm still surprised he took, even playing the way he has this year. Legit. So, as far as Cruz, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's feasible. I don't know what it looks like. I bet it looks a lot more like Julio Rodriguez, I think is his name in Seattle. It's slipping my mind. I think it looks a lot more like what he just signed than it does what Ke'Bryan Hayes just signed. So, are the Pirates willing to do something like that? I don't know. Is Oneil willing to do something like that? I don't know. But it is something they should start exploring.
Yeah, that's something they should explore, but that's also a talk for another day when they actually start exploring it. Because I'll believe it when I see it if the Pirates throw Rodriguez's contract at Oneil Cruz. Which if this was Seattle, they'd probably do it. But Seattle, That's what I like to always say about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are not other teams that operate that way. But Oneil Cruz, again, as you said, the sky is the limit with the
You
kid.
say that as if Seattle's done it countless
Before.
times in the past.
What I'm
They
saying.
don't. They
This is
don't
the first
either.
time.
You know,
Yeah.
like that's why it's worth talking about, because there is a first time for everything. And to me, you don't ask, you don't get. And just because I don't believe in the Pirates to do something like that financially does not mean that we shouldn't pressure them and talk about it and lay it out as an expectation. When you get a player like this, in all sincerity, you don't let them go. You do everything in your power to make sure that you don't let them go. The Penguins will never let go of Sidney Crosby,
No.
for instance. So I mean, like there's reasons to hold on to players like that. It's also a little premature to pretend that he's going to maximize his talent. You know, it looks good right now, but a couple weeks ago, it didn't look so good, right? Well, you give him 2 years of 30, 40 home runs, and an extension is not going to happen because he'll turn into Juan Soto.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you look at it that way, and it's just like, yeah, you're not wrong. Which is why I would like them to get it done sooner rather than later. Because I mean, you look at what he was on pace for with the stats that he currently has, and he would be in that ballpark right now. Round.
Yep, he's a little older, though. So, I mean, he does have that going against him as far as
Yeah.
getting like a 10, 15-year contract or something. But still, he's going to get in the ballpark of AAV.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully Oneil Cruz doesn't have to go on LinkedIn to find a new team whenever he becomes a free agent in 2028. But if you need to hire right now for your small business, make sure you do it at LinkedIn Jobs. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. Terms and conditions apply. So, besides the Pirates and Cardinals series this weekend, the biggest news, of course, was the rule changes that will be coming to baseball via MLB's competition committee, which voted and approved on these things this weekend. And it got people talking. So obviously, here on the Locked On Pirates podcast, especially when Gary's here, we're going to talk about it. So before we started recording, Gary actually said something very eye-opening about Major League Baseball and rule changing. And I believe you said they think it's a lot easier to change these things than it really is, and it's more plausible. I mean, we'll go down the list and see Gary's thoughts here, but the biggest one I think, obviously, or the biggest two, are going to be the pitch clock, which is 15 seconds with the bases empty and 20 seconds with runners on. The ban of the defensive shift, which means two fielders have to be on each side of second and must have both feet on the infield dirt. So we'll start with those because they're the most important. These are going to change things. The pitch clock, I don't think the pitch clock, it'll change a little bit of how pitchers' cadence is and everything, but the ban of the defensive shift, I think, is the major one because I think you're going to see ERAs go up quite a bit next year with this new pitch clock and the defensive shifts because a lot of the way pitchers attack is based off of the shift that their defense had. So what are your thoughts on that?
Maybe, but then you talk to somebody like Matt Capps who says, you know, I used to give up a base hit and turn around and find out there wasn't a second baseman at second base, and it changed the way that I pitched entirely. I hated it, and I think there's a lot more pitchers that feel. AJ Burnett was another one. He used to turn around and see that nobody was at short and just lose his mind because they shifted away from having a traditional defense. I'm sure that the analytics work out, and it probably does stop more base hits than it causes. But I think that pitchers, by and large, will be relatively split on whether that helps or not. I'm more interested in watching how people abuse new rules than I am the new rules, because that seems to be almost an art form in and of itself, and you see it all the time, even when the NFL changes rules. It's more about the abuse of them or even the enforcement of them than the actual rules themselves. Pitch clock, I think everybody will be fine with over time. I really do. I don't think that's going to cause too many problems. I haven't seen it cause many problems in the minors where it was tested. It hasn't bothered me. In fact, I haven't even noticed it.
No.
If it's fine, I think. As far as the shifting goes, the way that the rule is written, and I'll have to see the actual legalese version of how it's written to 100% know. But as it's constructed, that you have to be in the dirt. Well, ballparks are completely independent. They can change how they do everything. Like, they can just make the dirt area bigger if they want to.
They really could.
Look at Oakland. Like, Oakland has a dirt patch, like, right in the middle of theirs. I mean, like, you brought up Three Rivers Stadium and those types of places before that didn't have dirt in between.
Yeah, so
It
how
was
do you
just
institute
Astro.
that?
Right. So there's a lot of little intricacies to that rule. I think all in all, what partially banning the shift, or I guess we should really call it restricting the shift, does is it makes sure guys like Kevin Newman have a job in this league. For instance, if you think the Pirates should move on from Kevin Newman this offseason as he approaches arbitration one, I would ask you who plays shortstop if Oneil Cruz gets hurt, because they don't have anybody.
No, not right
And you
now. No.
cannot afford to have some guy trying to play short when they have to have that range.
I mean, the only plausible guy that could even have that range to play shortstop is your franchise third baseman, and he's not doing that. That's it. I mean, Marcano, love him to death, he can't do it.
G1 Bay is not a
G1
shortstop.
Bay is not a shortstop.
Nick
Leover
Gonzalez probably can't do it.
Leover Piguero plays it every once in a while, but I mean, he doesn't exactly flash to me that he's like a exceptional defensive shortstop.
He's got the range to do it. He's had just as many throwing problems as Oneil. But still, yeah, he's probably your next best bet to play shortstop.
Yeah, but even then, like you said, I mean, do you really have full confidence in Leover Piguero playing shortstop every day if Oneil Cruz is hurt for, say, like a Key Brian Hayes injury that Hayes had last year where he was out for 4 months? Do you really have confidence in Piguero playing shortstop every day? I'll be honest with you, I don't.
Yeah, just saying, it creates holes. It probably makes jobs for people like Omar Vizquel back in the day, or Chico Lean. You need real defensemen in the middle there
Yeah.
without the shift. And I think that kind of puts a little bit more importance back on that. And then there's more rule changes, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, so we have two more that I remember off the top of my head. The one that I think is actually going to be mostly okay is the larger bases. They increased the base size by, I think, 3 inches. So it's not like a crazy difference, but it's for player safety, which I'm always all for. I don't know how much 3 inches is going to change that for player safety. Asked my last girlfriend how much 3 inches will change anything in this world. But who knows really that much. By the way, that was just a joke. We have a Blue Chew ad all the time that we have to read, which I had to read on Friday. So everybody already remembers what happened Friday when JD's wife walked in and while I was reading the Blue Chew ad. That was pretty great. But you have larger bases that are going to be 3 inches bigger. and you have the one that I think got the most scrutiny, which was this pickoff rule that I still can't find the official writing on. But you're allowed to pick off up to 2 times, but then if you pick off the third time and don't get the guy out, it's a balk. I think
Yeah,
is how
and
I read
step
it.
offs count.
And step offs count, yes. So if you step off the mound once and try to pick a guy off once, and then you try to pick him off again and don't get him out, he automatically goes to second. So,
Or if you just step off because you couldn't get on the same page as the catcher and you're trying to avoid a pitch clock violation, right?
yeah, that's going to
Yeah,
be
there's
stress.
all
That's going to be,
kinds of things where these work in tandem and kind of make life on a pitcher harder.
yeah, that's what I was thinking about that today is when I woke up this morning and we were going to talk about this, I thought about that as a pitcher because I used to pitch. Like, obviously, it was Little League Baseball. I'm not pitching in front of, like, MLB stadiums to be hitters. But I cannot imagine the stress that these guys are going to be on now when you say, just as an example, I know he doesn't play much anymore, but say this rule was instituted 7, 8 years ago, and you have a runner on first, and that runner on first is Billy Hamilton, and you have 20 seconds to pitch to the mound and figure out what you're throwing to Joey Votto. That's a
Yeah, I
stressful
mean,
moment.
if you think about that pitch clock's going to be very visible in the stadium as well. At least that it
Is it,
was
pla-
in the minors.
is it going to be like a play clock in the NFL, like where it's going to
It's
be
going to be
clearly
up
visible?
right on the stat board, right next to like the pitches they've thrown and the velocity and the break, all that stuff that they put up in game. It's going to be right there. It's right next to the mound visits, the number of mound visits they're allowed, and everything. So if you're a runner and your first base coach is standing there, they're going to be watching that pitch clock. And when it gets down to like 1 or 2 seconds, why wouldn't they just send the runner? You don't
Yeah.
have time to throw to first without balking. So obviously you're going to be able to get like a 1-2 second head start. You got bigger bases, so you can talk about inches mattering, but how often do we see people thrown out at second by a fraction of an inch, right? So
Yeah.
you've taken 3 inches off. I guess 3 inches total off because it's an inch and a half on both sides of the base, right? So you've given them a little bit more of an advantage. They can kind of take a liberal lead. Yeah. And if the Pirates are smart, though, they got a fast team. They could abuse the hell out of this.
Yeah,
Like, they really could.
They really could. You imagine Oneil Cruz, 6'7", one weak massive leads this year already,
Yeah.
and with his frame, he can get back to first pretty easily on pickoffs.
Yeah.
If I'm the Pirates next year with Oneil Cruz and he's batting leadoff, which I think again, I think he should bat leadoff again next year. I've loved him as a leadoff hitter this year. Said the same thing about Ke'Bryan Hayes last year, but that's a whole nother conversation. But
I don't mind him as a leadoff hitter, but yeah, we'll see.
if you do have him leading off, though, his occasional single, yeah, I mean, whoever the first base coach ends up being, it'll probably be the same staff for some reason. We'll get into that, but I would take massive leads with Oneil Cruz. How do you get that guy
Yeah.
out as long as he knows when
Even leads
pick
off
him off.
second. Think about
Yeah.
leads off second. It's already dangerous for a pitcher to throw to second base. We already see them gun shy about doing it. So their main mechanism for keeping a guy close is usually sneaking the shortstop in or the second baseman in behind them, and then just stepping off, kind of giving them a little bit of an idea. Hey, I'm paying attention to you. I'm looking at you. I see you over there. And that tends to work to a certain degree. But it takes time, it takes attention, it takes a whole lot of, pulling your attention away from the plate and your job of attacking that hitter to make sure that you're keeping that guy relatively close so that a single doesn't score him. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. I mean, now you can't do any of that really. You've got a pitch clock, so they know when you're going to throw. They like.
Well, and
yeah,
now here's one that I can really bring up, and I'm not sure how this is going to work, but technicalities I need answered about this rule, because what is it picking off a guy 3 times while he's on any base, or is it only 3 times once he's base?
I believe it's any base.
Okay, so he can only try to pick the guy off 3 times.
Yes.
So if we think
And
about
then if he
this,
went to second, it would start over.
oh, it would start over. Okay, but
Yeah.
still,
That's the way I understand it anyway.
yeah. But if it's all the whole way around, imagine the guy gets to third and you've already used all your pickoff attempts.
Yeah. Who knows, man? Like,
I mean, the
it's
guy's going to
wacky.
go
And
all the
then
way down.
the other side of it that they never really, like, at least I haven't seen it addressed. How is there no control on batters, like, stepping out of the box?
Yeah, that
Like,
one's going to be interesting too, because I think they need to touch on that. Because if you're going to limit how much a pitcher can step rubber, you should limit how much a guy can step out of the box. Like I live in Savannah, by the way, everybody, and in banana ball, which is what like the Bananas are purely playing. Once you step into the box in that, and I know it's theatrical baseball, but once you step into the box in banana ball rules, you do not step out of the box, or it's an like that's how fun that is. So I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be like that in Major League Baseball because it's a lot more professional. But I think if you're going to put a pitcher being able to step off, you need to put a limit on the batter being able to step out all the time.
there's got to be
Personally,
something in there because otherwise, I would see batters just for gamesmanship every once in a while, waiting until the pitch clock is right up around like 17, 18 seconds, and then throwing that hand up real quick, take time out, step back. I just think like there's ways they're going to abuse it and make it even worse. So unless there's some kind of control on the hitters, to me, it's completely unfair and one-sided. I don't like it, and I hope they address it.
yeah. Well, we will see. Was that all the rules that? I think that was all the rules that they had.
I think so for now. Yeah.
What I will tell all of my listeners, all of the stuff going on with the MLB and the MLB Players Association, as well as the MILB Players Association. Go check out Lindsey Crosby over at Locked On MLB Prospects right now. He has everything you need to know about that. He has sources that know about it. I don't know what's going on with it. I've checked in on it every once in a while, but go check him out for that. He's going to be your guy to look forward to with all of that stuff, covering the MLB prospects list every day of the week. Also, go check out our pal Sully over at Locked On MLB. He's covering all of the postseason playoff races. As you see, the Pirates, I guess, help the Braves get back in the first place in a way by winning one game against the Mets. But Gary, what can everybody expect from the site and the Pirates fan forum this week?
Well, fan forum, we're gonna go really heavy on these rules. I mean, I'm still kind of getting into it myself. I really want to dig in and find out some of the answers to the questions we just posed here about the batting side of things with the pitch clock, and we'll see if we can discover some things and talk about different angles on it.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really fun thing to see how, again, these rules are implemented in 2023, and maybe the Pirates can use them to their advantage. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today on Monday, September 12th. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the weekend of football. Hopefully you enjoyed the weekend of Pirates baseball, which had a lot more action, as Gary said earlier, than it usually has. My name is Ethan Smith. I'm going to still get this down eventually. There we go. That's Gary Morgan to my right. And guys, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your Monday.